10 years ago, you're going to be covering a story where the women's team wins a World Cup championship, and the people on the sidelines are yelling, equal pay, equal pay.
That was one of the great things ever.
You know,
After they
mean,
won the
you
tournament.
would say, what? The mushrooms have become legal in Boston.
Right.
That's what you would think. So I don't think, and if you look at the sidelines of the parade, right, and you look who
In
was
New York
there.
City, yes.
In
the
New
day of
York
the day,
City
yeah.
with,
a couple days
you know,
ago.
everybody was there. What a diverse crowd, and everybody gets the message. And who, you know, it's like they say in law, Jim, as a lawyer, you know.
Thank you very much.
Great plaintiffs make great law, right? These women are the epitome of why things should be equal. So it's hard to not to.
Can we? By the way, I don't want to put Sam Mewis on the point when she on the spot when she gets here on this. But as Shirley was here for this the other day, when I'm watching the parade on we're on the air, and I'm watching on the CNN screen in our studio the parade, and it was great. When I saw Andrew Cuomo and Bill de Blasio riding on the floats, waving like they had scored the goals. It put me, as I said to Shirley on the other day, can you imagine Marty Walsh and Charlie Baker getting on the float with the women's team or with the Red Sox?
We've had like a dozen championships.
I mean, somebody
really,
had to
the
explain
goal.
what a ticker tape was. Okay, what's this ticker tape we keep speaking of? I mean, the other thing, the other story too here is just, you know, the ability of lesbians to be out in sports more so than gay men are able to be out in sports, right? So we're not.
What's
gonna
that about?
Well, I think it's the toxicity of being a male athlete and the price that you have to pay. And in a sense, women were already making less money, right? So what's going to happen if I come out as a lesbian? I'm going to make a little less money. Maybe I'll make it up somewhere doing speaking tours or writing a book. So there's some equality there. But for men, we can still count on one hand the number of openly gay male athletes there are, and think of how many more male athletes there are. So I think that there's something to be said about the power of women and the power of acceptance and modeling behavior that, you know, as the team has exemplified, you can be who you are.
Yeah, I'm laughing, not at you. I'm laughing because I saw the exact same text you did. Maybe not that one. Where so many of them were saying, I'm with somebody, my husband, my brother, my barmate, wants to hate Rapinoe, wants to hate, and they just can't because it was so powerful.
Excellence.
The whole troop
and
was
the posture. I think it has a lot to do with
her
posture.
Posture is really everything. Have you noticed that?
Posture and manners.
In any case, can we turn to politics? Well, we talked about politics for a second. There's a really interesting piece. It's in, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Rebecca Traister, talk about great, wrote this piece about how while the candidates on the Democratic side, all 20, some of them, I don't know I think it's 25 still or 24 or something, are diverse in terms of gender, in terms of race, all things that we've never seen before. The people who are the punditry, my least favorite word in the English language, I should say, so why did I use it, are exactly the same as, they're like me. They're old white guys who are commenting on a new generation of, that's a real problem, isn't it?
The Donnie Deutsch moment after the
Donnie
debate.
Deutsch, that was it,
You know, which I wished, I went to bed after the Democratic debate. I think it was the first, I forget which one it was, but Donnie Deutsch came on MSNBC,
right.
Part of my parent company, and he was on with Lawrence O'Donnell.
Lawrence O'Donnell, who challenged him, by the way.
Right, and Donnie was
Dorchester kid, Lawrence O'Donnell.
was making some ridiculous point, and Lawrence O'Donnell just basically said to me, that's just a guess. You're just making a guess. You don't have any more information. And Donnie pushed back about how I've been watching people for 30 years. And it did launch this firestorm of why are we still looking at these blowhard guys when we got plenty of blowhard women out there? I will say, I spend most of my day watching MSNBC, but listening and watching. I have CNN on. MSNBC, as far as panelists and commentators, does seem to have a wide variety of people. They seem to have worked really hard in including those voices. But when it comes to the people who have shows, like Donnie just got a show, it's like it seems to be like this pipeline that you wait in line, and still the Donnie Deutsches of the world, who I don't necessarily love or hate, but he just is like first in line.
But you know, when people reacting to what you say, or if they've read the piece by Rebecca Traister, was on with our show a couple of months ago, it was fabulous. It's not just that it's wrong. The impact of it is huge. Because when we're seeing change that I would argue a huge swath of the American population is ready for, but when you turn on your television and the commentators you're used to are saying they're out of step, they're too radical, they're socialist, they're whatever it is, if it's somebody you've trusted for a while, it begins to bend your mindset. So in many ways, they're undercutting, some of these commentators, the causes that they say that they champion as a really as opposed to cheerleaders. I don't even mean that. I mean, it is what it is. Fox News, they cheerlead for the incumbent. And a lot of the people on CNN and MSNBC are not, are undercutting their own people.
The challenge too, I think, is that they don't realize that they have bias. You know, that
I think that's
is
totally right.
That's the insidious problem. I mean, once you say to yourself, okay, I'm Donnie Deutsch, and I've said these things about Sarah Palin that were sexist, and Hillary Clinton that's sexist, so I'm going to be careful not to be a sexist, make sexist remarks, because that's my bias. I'll work on it. I don't think that he has the self-awareness to know that, you know, he's still categorizing women as how they relate around his universe.
Well, by the way, let me just say in defense of old white men, it's not just old white men, it's old white women, too.
Yep.
Nancy Pelosi's treatment
she's,
of Presley, Tlaib,
Yeah.
Omar, and Ocasio-Cortez, to me, and I had Presley on television with me the other night, is unconscionable. It is just so relentless and inappropriate and I think destructive kind of thing.
No,
and
I agree with you. I think this last week with Presley and AOC, I think she just went 2 steps too far.
She being Pelosi.
Pelosi, and I don't know if she's going to be able to bring it back, because I get the last job I would want to have on the earth right now is to be Democratic Speaker of the House, but she's got to do a better job of not exposing weaknesses if the Democrats want to stay.
But by the
in
way,
power.
let me just say, for those who say, well, she was trying to rein it in because she doesn't want to
Fine,
see
but
her party
rein it in, not in
private.
public,
Well,
yeah.
she chose to say that in an interview with Maureen Dowd in the New York Times that was prominent on Sunday. Pelosi's a really smart person, obviously, so she's very conscious of the play it's going to get. But it didn't end. The whole week it just got more.
Right, and then what happens is, who else do you have that's been criticizing Ayanna Pressley? You've got Kellyanne Conway. So then you end up having Kellyanne Conway and Pelosi in the same bucket. It's like, what do you think in Pelosi?
So before you go, we discussed this with somebody
tips?
the other day. No, I don't want any soccer tips. Thank you.
You have to run.
Did you read the Fortnite story about this young man, this Herzog?
I did, and I listened with Trini was on with you talking about it.
For those who haven't seen, where's this kid from?
Sudbury, I think.
Sudbury,
yes, Sudbury,
okay. So his father pulls him. Let me just give you some of the lowlights of this story. Who wrote it? Dugan Arnett. Who wrote
it?
Fabulous piece in the Boston. It's a horrible piece in the Boston Globe, but a fabulous. This kid is 16 years old. His father pulls him out of high school. Why? So he can sit in his room and play Fortnite 12 hours a day and hopefully become a millionaire doing these games. Well, you'd say, well, I mean, a lot of, athletes, great athletes, have parents who take their. Okay, fine. There's a little bit of difference here. When the young man, when it is dinner time, the father, the stepmother, because the parents are divorced, the stepmother and the sister eat in the dining room. The young man who's playing Fortnite 10 to 12 hours a day has his meal delivered to him on a tray to his room, so his video gaming is not interrupted. It's on and on. His mother, who lives elsewhere, invites him to play tennis. The father vetoes it.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I think the father should be arrested.
Right,
I don't
so
mean
Jim,
to overreact.
Here's the deal, Jim. We are either, and we've had this conversation in various,
You and I.
in very various topics. The headline is, we are either going to decide that children are children until they're 26.
I'm with you.
Right?
Oh, 26.
Right,
Okay.
when they get off our health care. And they can't do anything until they're 26. They can't get married. They can't sign contracts. They can't buy cigarettes. They can't drink. They can't go to war. They can't be tried as adults. Or we're going to find something in the middle. This guy is as abhorrent as I find this, and I agree with you.
Please don't say however.
I agree with what Trini said.
What'd she say?
We have dads and moms who do this with kids playing football.
Yeah,
who are
how
going
is
to have
this any
head
different?
injuries. I know people whose kids. I mean, my daughter was schooled through the TECA online public school system for her chronic illnesses. All of her classmates were quote-unquote professional kids who either were learning music or were dancers or tons of dancers.
Were they told they had to eat their dinner in their bedroom?
What do you think
I
ballet
don't think
dancers
so.
eat?
I have no
What do
idea
you
what
think
that.
ballet
Not much.
dancers
is
Probably
what I
nothing.
assume.
Nothing.
So as awful as this is, it's awful in a particular way because it's this thing we don't understand and it's solitary. But you look at tennis players, little kids who are being trained as tennis
Can
players.
I tell you something? I rarely paraphrase Donald Trump, but I will. My attitude towards this father is lock him up. It is obscene. And the fact that other parents are doing it doesn't make it
We'd have
excusable.
to lock everybody up. We'd have to lock.
So lock them all up.
We wouldn't have a soccer team. We wouldn't have a championship soccer team if the parents.
We
didn't
don't know
support-
that any of those parents were like these parents. I don't think that's
I
the
don't know.
case.
We'll see. I think if we did a massive investigation of citizens of Massachusetts with successful children.
So what in-depth reporting, political reporting, are you doing in the next 24 hours, please?
Well, I don't have any. I'm off now.
Oh,
but-
sorry.
I'm off the clock.
But in the future, you will be.
Yeah, I'll be back on Monday morning on Newsstand talking about what happened over the weekend in New Hampshire for politics. And then I think on Friday next week, if things go as planned, I'll be talking with some activists about the violence in Boston and what we are or are not doing to work with that, to stop it.
By the way, speaking of that, I got a lot of feedback from my interview with Rachel Rollins last night, Suffolk County
Yep.
DA. She will join me and Marjorie on Tuesday at the library.
Oh, that's
here,
great.
I'm not sure what time. Rachel Rollins, Suffolk DA. It's great to see you, Sue. Thanks
Great,
so
I'm
much
going
for
to go
being
bring
here.
my kid a sandwich. I'll be
Okay, great.
Media maven Sue O'Connell joins us every week. She's co-publisher of Bay Windows and the South End News and the in-depth politics reporter for NECN. Sue O'Connell, it's always great to talk to you. Up next, Sam Mewis, Hanson, Massachusetts' very own U.S. Women's World Cup champ, joins us to talk about how she was literally and figuratively made a goal of a lifetime.
Too often, not everyone's a winner when tech jobs come to town.
So African Americans who are raised really out of the womb to be taught, okay, you've got to have higher experience, more credentials, you've got to work harder, you've got to study harder, and then not seeing that pay off.
I'm Kara Miller, A Tale of Two Cities. Next time on Innovation Hub.
Saturday at noon on WGBH Radio.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you. And Direct Tire and Auto Service, performing regularly scheduled maintenance for area drivers since 1974. Checkups while you wait. More info available at 1-800-TIRE-PRO and at directtire.com. And the Museum of Science, featuring body worlds and the cycle of life. You can see the world-famous exhibit that reveals the inside story of your body living through time. Tickets for Body Worlds are available now at mos.org.
I'm nighttime anchor Mary Blake, and you and I are listening to 89.7 WGBH, WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at WGBHnews.org. Boston's local NPR.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. I am Jim Browdy. Shirley Young is sitting in for Marjorie Egan, who's going to be sorry she's not here right now. Marjorie will be back on Monday. We're broadcasting live from our GBH studio at the Boston Public Library. Sam Mewis knows a thing or two about winning, but maybe nothing could have prepared her for the biggest win of her lifetime. Keeping in mind their life is a mere 26 years, that would be a World Cup championship. On Sunday, she played the entire game for the U.S. women's national team as they defeated the Netherlands, as you know, 2-0. Is that what I'm supposed to say? Nil, thank you very much. Not only has she made the U.S. proud, but her hometown of Hanson, Mass. She joins us to talk about what went into reaching this victory and if equal pay could be the team's next win. Sam, it is great to meet you. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I want you to say, I rarely would do this to out one of our colleagues, but one of our producers, when you got here, I'll read what the note that was sent to us was. A 20-something producer, long journalist, well, not long, but a journalist by trade. Sam Mewis is here. I'm going to pass out with 3 exclamation. You're seeing a lot of that, yes?
Yeah, it's really cool, though. It's been just such an exciting week and getting to interact with so many fans and so many of my peers who just watched the game and watched the whole tournament and thought it was exciting. So I'm really glad that people are excited about it. It's been awesome.
So are you still on your ticker tape parade high?
Yes, I don't think that I'm ever going to come down from that. That was an unbelievable experience. It was probably one of the coolest parts about this whole thing. It was like a Patriots parade, but in New York and for me and like my team. So it was one of the coolest things ever. I had an absolute blast. It was awesome, and I'm so grateful I got to experience that.
Have you ever had drinks in the morning before?
She's pleading the fifth.
So have you been home yet? Have you been home? You're a local woman, as we said.
I
Have you been home?
I have an apartment in Dorchester, so
Yeah. You
I've
do?
been there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But I meant like as in Hanson.
I haven't been to Hanson. I'm only here for like 36 hours. I'm throwing out the first pitch at the Red Sox game.
You
Wow,
are?
I
how
am.
exciting. Tonight?
Tonight.
Oh, wow, that's
And then
great.
I have
Against
to
the Dodgers.
Against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And then I have to head back to North Carolina to play
For the team you play for.
for my club team in the NWSL.
So are you I mean, talk about being on the world stage, resilient billion people or so. You nervous about throwing out the first pitch?
Yeah, I was practicing yesterday.
How'd you do?
In my front yard. My husband said I was better than he thought.
That's
so
not saying
good.
much. You know, one of the stories I love, we've all read a million stories about you, obviously, in the last I love the story of 1999, you and your sister, Christy, right?
Yep.
Tell us what you're doing in 1999 when you were, what were you, 6 years old or
Yeah,
something?
6 or 7.
What were you doing?
We watched the Women's World Cup. We watched the final. We watched them win. I remember kind of being in my living room. My dad was so excited. And obviously we loved soccer at the time, but did we ever think that my sister plays professional too? Did we ever really think, or did my parents think that we would make it this far? I don't know, but it was so cool to see that and to see the representation of women playing soccer at that level, playing on the world stage, winning. There was 90,000 people at that game at the Rose Bowl.
Wow.
So just seeing then, that was 20 years ago, and seeing what it's become, but that really kind of started this whole movement.
Who
Do you
was
think
playing-
about yourself, do you
Yeah.
think about yourself as that kid on Sunday? Did you think back to that? I mean, that is, talk about a journey.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think about that a lot. I think about my family a lot. My family made a lot of sacrifices to get me here, but the coolest thing I think is seeing it come full circle and getting to meet a young girl who is me now, and she's looking at me doing this, and she's thinking, maybe I could do that someday, and I get to like sign an autograph or take a picture with her, and I think that's one of the coolest parts.
So how did, not just you, but your sister, how did you decide to become professional athletes? I mean, there's not, women don't have the same kind of lucrative options that the men do in professional sports.
Yeah, luckily there is a league right now, and we're in our 7th or 8th year. It's called the NWSL, and we've had a team in Boston in the past, the Boston Breakers, who played here for various women's leagues, and unfortunately that team folded, but I currently play in Raleigh, and my sister plays in Houston, and I don't know if it was ever like a conscious decision. I think that we took these kind of small steps. We went to Division I schools to play in college, and then
You were at UCLA, yes?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. My sister went to BC, and then fortunately, when we were done with college, there was this opportunity to play in the NWSL, and we both just picked that, and it's kind of been soccer all the way ever since.
You know, I read, I think in the last 24 hours that ESPN was broadcasting a handful of games, I think,
Yeah.
from is that new because of the World Cup, or are they just announcing what they had already planned long before?
No, so they picked it up. We didn't have a TV deal earlier this year. We used to be
So
with,
it's 'cause
with
of this.
Lifetime. Well, I think a lot of things are probably happening because of this. Our ratings were really, really, really good for the World Cup final. So I think that ESPN was probably like, this is a good opportunity, it's a good investment, and they want to take advantage of it, and I think it's really smart.
And so when ESPN picks up more of your games, women's games, does that, do you make any more money out of it? I mean, does it come to your paycheck somehow?
Not to the players individually, but the exposure is great for the players. Earlier in the season, our games were being just streamed online, and it's good for fans who know that, but nobody's going to accidentally go to our game online. It takes effort to find it, so I think that now that it's easier for people to watch, the exposure is really good for players, but the money in the deal will go to the league, and that's really good for the league because we need money coming in really wherever we can to just keep up with all the expenses it has.
You know, I'm thinking back, I'm looking at you, and after having watched you, and Shirley and I were talking about, you know, you see this woman on a huge television set, and then all of a sudden you're sitting here, and all the world was having the same experience. When you scored, it was in the Thailand game, you scored twice, right? Was that
Yeah.
right? When you score, can you describe the feeling in your body at the moment? I mean, you're in the World Cup, and I know there was a rollover match. We're not going to get into all the controversy. Don't worry about the whole thing. But when you score for the first time, what does that feel like?
It's like pretty indescribable. There's a picture, and my face is kind of like crazed with joy, where it's like it doesn't look good. Like I look like a crazy person, but I just immediately wanted to find the girl who passed me the ball, Megan Rapinoe, and hug her and be like, "Thank you. I can't believe this is happening." obviously you dream about playing in a World Cup. I almost never dreamed so big that I would score. I never even thought about it because it seems like such an amazing accomplishment. And in the game, of course, I wanted to score, but I didn't even know that that was a dream of mine. And so it really was indescribable, and sharing it with my teammates and just getting to hug them and be like, we're here, we're doing it. It was crazy.
So one of my favorite topics is writing about equal pay, and I actually started writing about the women's soccer and your fight for
Thank
equal
you.
pay back in 2016. And I
Okay.
was happy to write about it again this week.
Relentlessly, I should say. She really has been.
And what was it like for you to hear to be at the World Cup final and hear the chants? I mean, could you hear the equal pay
Yeah.
chants from where you were? And I'm sure that was that at the parade too.
Yeah.
And what was it like to hear that? And what does the win mean in terms of? Do you think it helps your legal case for getting equal pay?
I think that winning is a really powerful statement in a lot of ways. I hope that it will help our case, and I think that we've made strong points that we are deserving of being paid more, and we are deserving of the investment that not only we've already gotten, but that we deserve to continue to get. And I think that knowing that the fans at the game and at the parade are rooting for us and are on our side, it's validating. Because I think when you take a risk like this, when you decide as a group to, like, I had to sign papers filing this lawsuit, and not only is it like an individual risk to put your name on there, but it's a group risk. I mean, how will this be perceived? Are people on our side? Do they think that we deserve this? And so to hear that, and to hear that people are on our side and people want this for us, it feels really good, because I've never had any doubt that we should be paid more than we are. I think if I was a men's player and I just won the World Cup, I'd probably be all set for the rest of my life, and I'm not.
Wow.
So it's crazy. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a really complicated issue, but knowing that the fans support us, it means a lot.
I don't think it's that complicated at all. It shouldn't be, at least in my. Did you read Sally Jenkins? Was it Sally Jenkins' did you read her great piece where she says one of the other great arguments is the men's team hasn't won jack, is what she says. And I know you won't say that, but the reality is that you guys are world champions. Do you think at all about, we talked about this before you got here, do you think about whether or not your fight, and obviously the primary fight is for you and your teammates, will trickle down into the larger world? Because Rapinoe did this I don't know if you saw the interview she did with Anderson Cooper the other night. It was endless and fabulous. It was just classic television. But she made the case that pretty powerfully that it will extend beyond the borders of your couple of dozen teammates. Do you buy that?
Well, I hope so. And I think that Megan Rapinoe I'm so glad she's leading the charge in this, because I think she's so well-spoken, and everything she says I'm applauding. So I might not be as well-spoken as her, but I think that this could trickle down in so many ways. I think it has been trickling down since that group of 99ers who they started fighting. They started a league. They started asking for more. I think they got paid $500 when they won the World Cup. So
wow,
it's come a long way, and it's not to be overlooked that U.S. Soccer has made a huge investment in women's soccer. And if they can continue to work with us to make this a more equal situation, I think that will be great. But I hope this trickles down beyond soccer. Part of the reason we're doing this is for the next generation.
Was that weird, by the way, during the ticker tape thing, which I was, other than the fact that I won't get into it with you, that I was appalled that de Blasio and Cuomo were part of the parade, but that's for another day. The guy who's head of the U.S. Soccer Federation, who you're suing, essentially, is up there essentially emceeing the event. He's riding on one of the, was that weird, or was that not?
Well, Carlos was with us the whole World Cup, and that hasn't always been the case. So he has supported us in a lot of ways. He's relatively new to his position, and he's worked with us a lot. And I think that this lawsuit obviously will continue into the fall and probably way beyond that. But I think that there is a good relationship there, and we're hopeful that he will want to work with us and that he will want to make things right. So he's overall been very supportive.
I think it was good that he acknowledged. I mean, he seemed to acknowledge in his remarks at the parade that there was an issue going on. I think that was very powerful for him to do that. And
by the way, we should say we're talking to Sam Mewis, who is a midfielder on the World Cup championship women's soccer team. It is unbelievable.
I know, this is great. And then she...
From Dorchester and Hanson, Massachusetts.
Born in Weymouth, right?
Yep, South Shore Hospital.
Wow. So one of the things that came up when I was on the radio earlier with Jim and Marjorie is the men's team. And have you heard, the men's soccer team, they support your suit, right? I mean, or you, well, anyways, have you heard from male players?
Personally, no. I hope that they support us. I think that they just are coming off of a big tournament for them. I think that we're hopeful that they support us and that maybe we could even work together. We're very separate, but of course we both negotiate collective bargaining agreements with U.S. Soccer, and I think that kind of coming together to collaborate on things like that, on negotiating and on what are we asking for, how can we make this equal. But it is very separate, and the contract structure is very different,
Right.
just based on how different our leagues are.
Are you comfortable, speaking of Rapinoe, are you comfortable with her position and some of your teammates' position? I don't know if it's yours on the White House deal. Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
You are.
I admire Pino a lot, and I'm very comfortable with her speaking on my behalf.
Okay, let's talk about your father for a minute.
Okay.
I've spent part of the prior segment bad-mouthing some fathers who were the coaches of their kids. I know your father, I believe, was the coach of you and your sister early on. Is that not true?
Yeah, it's true.
Your parents came, and your husband, I think, came to at least some of the matches. So what kind of coach was your father?
My father is so sweet. He is so humble. He never treated me or my sister any differently, and we were probably two of the better players on the team, but he always wanted to make sure, he was always very conscientious of taking care of everybody and making sure everyone was comfortable with everything. And my dad made a lot of sacrifices for me. We didn't have tons and tons of money. He had to work really hard to pay for all of my soccer. And I think that just something that he would always do. When I was young, I was getting called away to go with youth national teams. So I was going to Germany and New Zealand when I was like 15.
Wow.
And I had to miss school, and a lot of school. And something my parents always did was before a trip, they'd say, "Do you want to go?" Because they didn't want to assume they didn't want to assume anything. If I didn't love it, if I didn't want to do it, they were never going to make me do it, even though it ended up paying for my college. There was a lot in it for them. And I think that them reassuring me that nobody was going to make me do this was really important.
Were they there for the final match?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was amazing. They were the first people I looked at, them and my husband. I think, obviously, my parents have been with me my whole life, 26 years. So I think that they really know what went into it from really early on, and how hard it was for me to miss school. Like, socially, it was really hard. Like, people were kind of like, where is she? And there was a lot of different challenges along the way. And then I think my husband, having him, and he's seen more recently what I've been through. I had a bad injury in 2017, and I have this memory of just sitting with him on the couch, heartbroken, and like, I don't know if I'll ever be the same. And I think his understanding of that, my parents' understanding of everything else it took to get me here, it's been huge. And so I looked right to them, and just was crying and sharing with them this awesome moment.
So you play with the National Women's Soccer League. You're with the North Carolina Courage. So is the season over? Does the season start? Tell us a little bit how this works.
So the season's ongoing right now.
Okay.
It runs from March to October. So I live in Raleigh for those months, and my team has a game tomorrow. So I'm going to fly to Raleigh to watch. Not quite ready to play yet, but I'm going to be there to watch them play, and then I'll play next weekend in our next game. So we play the game. Some of the games will be on ESPN. People should watch. There's amazing talent. All the girls on my team play in the NWSL. Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, Carly Lloyd. So people can watch them every week, which I think is a lot of people don't know. So all the people that have just tuned in this summer should definitely check out the NWSL. It's great.
And are you going to play in Japan?
I hope so.
You're going to, the Olympics, for those who don't know,
I'll
is in
try.
Japan, but that's your goal.
Yeah, so the roster was just 23, and it's only 18 for the Olympics, so I got to get training.
She just looked at her watch, which she doesn't have, but she looked at her wrist.
So what do you like to do in Boston when you're in town?
Oh, well, I love it here. Obviously grew up here. I'm a huge Patriots fan, Red Sox fan. I love all the sports teams.
Tom Brady tweeted about the team.
I saw something on his Instagram story, which was really cool.
Yeah.
One of my friends is here with me today. I work out at a gym up in North Reading.
You can say her name, by the way.
Her name is Steph.
Yeah. Hello,
She's
Steph.
holding
How
up
are
the
you?
peace sign. She's excited for the game. We're going to the Red Sox tonight.
She's all decked out in her jersey.
I know. We're excited. But I'm kind of just like a normal Boston person. I work when everybody else works. I go to the gym and I go to the field, and then I have dinner at home. hang out
No,
on the
you're
weekends.
you're
You're
totally
just like
normal.
us.
Normal kind of person who does her job in front of 1 billion people on television and then throws out the first pitch at Fenway.
Oh my
That's a
gosh.
normal kind of thing.
I know.
I know I speak for everybody here. We're really thrilled to have you.
Thank
We're really
you.
proud of you and all your teammates, and lots of good luck in the future,
Thank
Sam.
you
We
so
really
much.
appreciate
Thanks
your
for having
time.
Thank you for
Let's
stopping
hear it
by.
for Sam
Go
Mewis.
Sox.
Sam Mewis is a midfielder and a member of the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team. She currently plays professionally for the North Carolina Courage, which won the National Women's Soccer League title last year. Sam Mewis, it's so great to meet you, and thank you for joining us. Up next, President Trump hosted a social media summit that literally came to blows. Tech writer Andy Anaka joins us for that and more. He's next on 89.7 WGBH, Boston Public Radio.
I'm Arun Roth. Coming up later today, Democratic presidential candidate Cory Booker is in Boston to talk about gun violence. The city has seen more than a dozen shootings so far this month. And in Dorchester, a woman with a passion for soap.
When you shower it, you just start getting lost in bubbles with this one. Oh, I love this. Oh, the way it feels so good.
She's turned that passion into a business. Those stories and all the news starting at 4 on WGBH's All Things Considered.
Support for our programs comes from you and Emerson College, shaping society through creative expression and daring ideas, where independent minds move the world forward. Emerson College, become a creative force. And Barry Dunn, announcing its merger with Rodman CPAs, offering assurance, tax, and consulting services with offices in Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, West Virginia, and Arizona. BarryDunn.com.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browning and Shirley Young. Shirley sitting in for Marjorie. We'll be back on Monday live from our GBH studio at the Boston Public Library. Talk about tough act to follow. I am really
I'm
sorry
so
for this
sorry.
guy. Joining us to go over the latest headlines. He'll do the best he can at the intersection of tech, policy, and culture. Is the great Andy Anatko. Andy's a tech writer and blogger. You can find his work at Anatko, IHNATKO.com. And you can follow him at Anatko. Andy, it's great to see you.
Great to be here, and great to be here to listen to your previous guest. That was
By the way,
wonderful.
I rarely do this after a guest leaves. She is terrific.
She is.
She
She's
is
great.
really an impressive person, and it's really exciting. Did you know she lived in Dorchester?
I
until she
didn't.
told us?
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know
So
that either. It's really great.
Yeah, that's
In
really
any case,
great.
but Andy, we're glad to see you.
So anyways, so President Trump held a quote-unquote social media summit earlier this week, and I frankly can't make heads or tails of what was the point and what got accomplished. So can you explain what happened here?
I think that you're very much in step with the thinking of people inside and outside the White House on that. Yeah, he declared that he was going to have this big social media summit a few weeks ago, and okay, that's great, that's timely. Let's all talk about like the role of social media and whether they should be regulated. And then we found out that he's not inviting anybody, anybody from Twitter, anybody from Facebook,
Right.
anybody from Google, anybody who is a left-wing commentator. Only people who are kind of radical right commentators. And so we had low expectations, and they were very, very well founded. It really was pretty much just an election speech to get his social media army together and telling them, oh, you're geniuses, you're wonderful people, and of course I'm wonderful too, and boy, our enemies are socialists. And it really was, he really should be charged a rental fee for the White House for what was clearly just a campaign
But is there not
thing.
I'm not questioning your characterization of it, of course, but is there not either a legislative agenda or some common agenda of the conservative side of social media? What is it?
There's both the conservatives and the other side of Congress. Everybody's together on agreeing that there needs to be some sort of new set of regulations on not just social media, but all tech companies. Both sides of the aisle have been talking about Section 230 of the Communications Decency
explain
Act.
Yeah,
this is like the 24 words or something that has been said that defined the internet and created the internet. Broadly speaking, It said that if you are an internet service, you are a distributor of content, you are not a creator of content, like a newsstand can't be sued because they sold a newspaper that had a lie in it. They're just responsible for getting rid of these newspapers off their stands once they're informed that some illegal stuff has been sold through their newsstand. And that's why you can go onto YouTube and post a video. That's why you can go to WordPress and create a blog, because whoever it is who sells you that service does not have to check everything you post to make sure that it's totally legal, there's nothing slanderous. Without that, we would not have the internet today, and that's no lie. But now both sides of the aisle are saying that we need to revisit that, because a lot of the larger tech companies, now that they're huge, are kind of using that as an excuse to say, well, it doesn't matter that people are posting really, really dangerous conspiracy videos and lies. We're not the publisher. We just have the host thing. Remember that Facebook even said that when they were confronted with a absolutely proven to be bogus video about a supposedly drunken leader, Nancy Pelosi, they said, well, we're keeping it up because of free speech rules. And yeah, maybe they shouldn't be allowed to do that. Once they know that something is bogus, they have a responsibility to the tens of thousands, if not millions of people who are going to see it.
Can I ask you a legal question that I should know the answer to, and I can't I knew it, I think. Based upon that, I don't know, it's not a call to pass-through thing, but whatever you just described, how did Backpage, which obviously was the vehicle for essentially prostitution and worse, how did that get shut down with that Section 230 there? I would assume providing them the cover.
What got them is that prosecutors were able to prove that they knew damn well what they're being used for. As a matter of fact, they were soliciting business on that side. So long as their hands are clean, then they can say that we had no idea.
I was deeply disappointed by this social media summit, because there are some really serious issues about social media. I mean, ensuring that our election is free from Russian interference, number one, right? And there's also concern that Iran and also China might also interfere with our election. So I don't understand why. Of course, I guess I can understand why he wouldn't want to touch that, because perhaps the Russians helped Trump win.
Well, he doesn't even acknowledge that it happened, does he, or does he?
It's the problem. The problem as they see it, I think, is that the fact, and this is a fact, you're absolutely right. Our election systems are not nearly secure enough for the problems that they're facing. And the problems that we faced in 2016, where independent investigators, concluded that no, absolutely, not only did Russian intelligence try to interfere with elections, here are the names of the people involved, and we're indicting all of them. But they don't, the Republican side, particularly Trump, doesn't see that as advantageous specifically to Republicans to pursue this. Instead, it's more advantageous to sell the idea that my fellow conservatives, Twitter and Facebook, they're censoring you, and they're trying to make sure that our message is not heard. Come with me, and I will lead you into victory, and I will punish these people. That's the sort of thing that gets Republicans to vote for Republicans, as opposed to let's improve the entire system and make it more fair for everybody.
Unfortunately, we don't have time to discuss the highlight of the social media summit, where Sebastian Gorka, former aide to the president, and the political reporter for Playboy almost got into a fist fight. But we will discuss that sometime in the future. Can we talk about a couple of things that have real-world, well, social media does too, application, FaceTime, and a term I had not, repainting.
Yes.
Explain what it is, and you have a problem with it, and I didn't think I did until I read what you had to say. So explain what it is and tell us what your concern is.
Okay, well, you know how one of the problems with using FaceTime or any other video conferencing is that you're not looking at the lens of the camera, you're looking at the screen, you're looking at the other person's face, which means that what you're seeing is someone who's not making eye contact with you.
You know where else that happens? When people like me are reading a teleprompter in front of a television camera, and you're looking right below the camera, and if people watch carefully, it's very disturbing that your eyes are not making direct contact with the viewer. But go ahead.
So Apple wants to try to improve this and improve the intimacy of FaceTime by introducing a new feature where if your iPhone has that 3D face scanning technology, it's making a map of your face, mapping where your eyes are, and then doing a little bit of a warp of your eyeballs to make it look like you're actually looking directly into the camera. And it's only in beta. If the feature actually makes it to ship, it won't be until the fall. But my problem with it is that it's such an intimate thing talking to somebody via video. I kind of want to see if they're not looking directly in the camera. I want to be able to trust that what I'm seeing hasn't been edited, hasn't been changed. if they can warp, and I'm not just making things up here, it really is just, here's a mesh, 3D mesh of the person's face, and they're just going to sort of warp that section of the mesh with the eyeballs. They could also say, well, Andy seems to have a little bit of a sour puss. Let's let him touch a button to make him look a little bit happier to be talking to this person.
That's a good point.
I wish there was sort of like an indicator. If they do this, I wish there were an indicator so that if I'm on the other end of this, I can see there's a little orange button that says that.
Or you can opt in or opt out of it, right?
Yeah, well, or at least just let me know that you're not seeing the actual picture. This has been enhanced digitally through whatever means the sender wanted to use.
Yeah. These are problems I didn't realize I had, right?
But it is actually the manipulation. I hadn't thought about it because when I first read it, because of my selfish interests with the teleprompter, were great. This is good, but the slippery slope aspect is really really troubling. We're talking to Andy Ihnatko, our tech guy.
Yeah, I want to talk about another social media incident related to Trump. He has been trying to he's been blocking, I think, followers, and an appeals court affirmed that Trump is violating the Constitution by blocking people on Twitter. Can you explain this to us?
Yeah, if people are kind of being mean to Trump, he will block them on Twitter. On Twitter, that means that not only does Trump not see these quote nasty things people are saying about them, but that person can no longer see any of Trump's tweets. And last year, the year before, the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University filed a lawsuit on behalf of people who've been blocked by Trump, saying, hey, look, he's the president. He's using his Twitter feed as a way of the president communicating with people. He doesn't have the right to block people from not only seeing what he's saying as president, but also interacting with him if that's how he chooses to use Twitter. Trump's lawyers were saying, oh no, it's not owned by the White House. This is real Donald Trump, his personal Twitter account. So last year, the court decision was that no, you're clearly using it as the president. Yeah. You can't block people. It's a First Amendment issue. First Amendment is not just my ability to go into the street corner and shout. It means that if an elected official wants to have a conversation with me, he cannot block my voice just because he doesn't like what I'm saying. So they appealed, and they lost the appeal. So.
Can I just tell you, by the way, for those who are curious, because I didn't know who some of the people who were blocked were, but the litigants, Arjun, our colleague, just some names, most of which I don't think you know. Rebecca Buckwalter, a feminist blogger. Brandon Neely, former Guantanamo Bay guard, who's been active in criticizing the treatment of detainees. Those kind of people, activist types. Yeah. But, you know, I'm embarrassed, I think, to ask this question, especially if you tell me the answer is totally obvious. When someone blocks you on Twitter, I know you can't follow them, but you don't have to follow someone if you're not blocked to read their tweets. You just Google them, and you can read their tweets. If you're blocked by Donald Trump, just as an example, and even if you can't follow him anymore, would you be able to go online and search and read his tweets essentially through the back door, or would you be precluded from that too?
Everything posted on Twitter that's not a direct message is public, so anybody, whether they're blocked or not, can read it. But the court was saying that it's not so much the person not being able to read his tweets. It's like imagine that the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has an office that says it, but don't allow any mail from anyone who's on this list.
I hadn't thought about that.
So
it's the two-way exchange potential thing that was troubling. We're talking to Andy Ihnatko. You know, this next thing, Andy, is something I think all of us have encountered. We have all bought a phone from time to time, maybe more often than not, that says it is waterproof. Is there such a thing as a waterproof phone?
Legally, yes. In practicality, no.
What does legally mean?
Meaning that they can advertise a phone as waterproof if they've done if they've done tests that says that, hey, we submerged this brand new phone in a tank of water for X minutes under X atmospheres of pressure. Is actually a technical rating called IP68. That essentially means that yes, it will not allow water to get in. The problem with this is that that's all great for a brand new phone, but what makes it waterproof, even if the company is advertising it as waterproof, is usually it's just the glue holding it together. On an iPhone, it's the glue plus a special gasket. But over time, these things kind of weaken, especially if you drop it once or twice, doesn't hurt the phone. But now you've got a little crack in that seal, and now if you put it underwater, water's going to get in. And the second problem is that it's not just the water, really. It's the minerals and other stuff in the water that gets in and causes corrosion. So that's the reason why salt water, dead. Even chlorine pool water, dead. Apple has very good water resistance on its iPhone 10, but even they have their warranty that says our warranty does not cover any water damage. And so that's kind of the telling thing.
What about iPhone watches? I actually swim with my. Is it iWatch? Is that what they call it? And so
Apple Watch.
yeah, and it's great because it tells you how many yards and your calories and your calories burned and tells you how long you've been swimming. And so I've often wondered, will someday my iWatch stop working?
That's a different case. As a matter of fact, it even has a special mode. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yes,
when you get out,
absolutely.
it'll actually go. You can actually see it
Yes.
spit out water.
That is not true.
Well, but
Absolutely
it tells you.
true.
It tells you. It actually knows that when you're in the water or you're out of the water, and it tells you, you can. It talks to you and tells you to do something.
But you can actually see it. It'll actually spit water out through the whatever opening is in the microphone jack. That's different because Apple is actually advertising it as a waterproof watch. Like they're using it in advertising. Hey, go ahead and swim in it. When other companies like Samsung is getting into trouble, they're being sued by Australia's National Consumer Protection Agency because in ads they said, "Oh, here we go. Look, you can use your phone. Here we are underneath the water. Here we are underneath the pool." But it was not supposed. But the manual says, "Do not use our phone in the pool. Oh, for God's sakes, do not take your phone into the salt water."
But why? But why is my phone? Why is the iWatch more protected in water than a phone?
Because it's basically nothing. Fewer things have to go in and out of it. It charges wirelessly, so there are very few holes in it. Also, you're probably not going to drop it, so the sealing is going to work. Is going to work a lot better.
Yeah, I never drop
it. But finally, it's waterproof because Apple says that we will fix it for you within warranty if the cause for the damage was it got wet. Because we are telling you, you can get this thing wet.
Can we go back to your phone for a second? Let's assume we ignore people like you and we use our phone underwater, which I can't imagine anybody be stupid enough to do, to take a picture
on
of
Instagram,
something.
I see people with underwater pictures of their babies.
That is
again,
really
why do you need to take your phone?
I'm more worried about your phone than
but
your
I've
baby.
dropped my phone. Frankly, I've dropped it in the toilet.
Yeah.
I cannot tell a lie. I was under the impression that things like rice it was not a myth, that rice, kitty litter, you're mocking me when you're looking at me.
As a matter of fact, a few years ago, I got a company I got T-Mobile or somebody to send me 6 copies of a phone so I could put all of them through a washing machine in my pants. And then test.
Did you really do that?
Yeah, I scoured the internet for all these urban legends, like soak it in vodka because the alcohol will push out the water. Rice, not just any kitty litter, but fresh step crystals because they're like desiccants.
So does any of that work or no?
Yes and no. The problem is that I found that the kitty litter will bring the phone back to life. The problem is, remember, we're saying that it's not just the moisture; it's the stuff that's inside there, and also the desiccant can't necessarily burrow its way inside the phone to get every drop of water. There's a company called iFixit. Legendary. If your phone breaks and you want to fix it yourself and save money, you go to this site. They'll show you how to do it.
iFixit.
IFIXIT.com. They also sell you the tools for fixing these things. They say that if you run into this problem, the best thing to do is turn it off. Just turn it off. Absolutely. Don't even test to see if it'll come back on again. That's death. But then disassemble the phone if you have the tools, or if you have a friend who has the tools. Wash them in alcohol that will drive out the parts in alcohol that will drive out the water, and then take a little toothbrush and just give it a little scrubbing to make sure that none of that salt or anything is on there, and then let it dry out completely and put it back together, and your warranty will be toast, but maybe your $500, $1,000 phone will come back.
So, Jim, I want to hear more about your phone in the toilet.
No,
What happened? What happened?
First of all, I knew it was a big mistake to mention. And by the way, the toilet was unadulterated at that particular time, and the answer was it was dead. It was.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
And by the way, they know when you take it into the store, the first thing they ask you is they say, "Did you drop this in water?" Even before they even look at it, did you drop it in water? And some people, not me, some people try to lie. Yeah. And I've seen it, and they know, in a nanosecond when they take a look at it.
Remember when you were a kid and they said, "Now don't pee in the pool because there's a special magical dye." Actually, there is a special marker inside most phones
that true?
That changes color so that the technician can say this was definitely exposed to water. This is why
I didn't know that.
So you had to buy a new phone,
So I won't
Jim?
lie again.
You had to get a new
I
phone?
had to actually buy a new phone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But let me tell you about Apple's unofficial. Internally they call it the "We're Awesome" policy. I've spoken to a lot of people off the record about this, and they basically say that if you're totally honest about what happened to your phone, if you don't try to lie or try to say, it just stopped working, and what are you going to do about it? If you say, I fumbled it, I dropped it in the toilet, and it's only a month old. If they can fix it for you for free, they will try to do that. They'll try to find the leniency to do that for you. They're not guaranteeing they're going to do it. They'll probably say no. But if you lie, they will definitely not say, well, this is not one of the one people a week we're going to help out for free today.
So, Jim, did you learn your lesson? Don't bring your phone into the bathroom.
Do you not bring it into the bathroom? Does anybody not bring it into the bathroom? Don't ask a ridiculous question. Now, you only have 30 seconds left. For some reason, Shirley, we were talking before you came here, obviously thinks Amazon is not doing enough business. She said, we're not going to talk about Amazon Prime Day, Monday and Tuesday. No, we're not talking about Amazon Prime. By the way, is that as huge? You were suggesting it's like Black Friday kind of thing.
It is. They're creating another Black Friday, and now other retailers are getting in on the act as well.
On the same days, you mean?
Yeah, or before then.
Google is having huge discounts on most of their speakers and Nest products.
Macy's is doing stuff
because
this
of
weekend.
Prime Day, just to compete with them.
Wallets are getting loosed. People are getting trained to spend lots of money. I will, in the 30 seconds I have, or whatever I have remaining, don't do impulse buying on Amazon Prime Day.
Why?
It's because you don't need it. If you needed it, you would have already been shopping for it. It's a great thing if, like today, I gave away my phone charger to somebody on the train who absolutely needed it. And so, great. So knowing the Prime Day was going to be next week, there are definitely going to be some good sales on phone chargers. And so I will be waiting for the features I want for the price I want. But if I see, wow, 100 chopsticks made out of balsa wood for only $40. Wow, that seems like a great price for chopsticks. No, again, if I needed chopsticks, I would have either bought them earlier or I'd have it in the back of my mind, ooh, that's right, I need to get chopsticks. So don't be fooled, don't be tricked.
Oh, I have bad news. Jeff Bezos just blocked you on Twitter. So
Andy
nice
Anaka
to see Andy.
Joins us regularly.
Thanks.
Next week, he's going to regale us about his Amazon Prime deals, right?
That's exactly.
I'll be wearing all my Nike gear
Exactly.
that I got.
He's a tech writer and blogger. You can find his work at anako.com, and you can follow him at Anako. And anyways, Andy, it's always great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Go shopping next week. Up next, it's time for our
A new generation of Democrats battle for the soul of the party.
If Democrats don't offer an alternative, not only are we not going to be able to beat Trump, but it's going to be really hard to pursue our agenda even if we do.
Congressman and Democratic candidate for president Seth Moulton. That's next time on The Takeaways Politics with Amy Walter from WNYC and PRI.
This afternoon at 2, only on 89.7 WGBH.
Support for WGBH comes from you and LogMeIn, makers of GoToMeeting, a collaboration meeting platform that comes equipped with features to help people stay focused to get work done. Learn more at gotomeeting.com. And the Boston Speakers Series, presented by Leslie University, thanking its sponsors and the entire Boston community for their support of the sold-out 2019-20 season of the Boston Speakers Series. Information at bostonspeakers.org.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. I'm Jim Browdy, Shirley Young sitting in for Marjorie for one more segment. We're live from our GBH studio at the Boston Public Library. It's time for our Friday news quiz with the folks behind Jim's Organic Coffee. So if this week has been a grind, we're going to latte things for you as Jim Cannell and Christelle Duboeuf. Am I pronouncing that right, Christelle?
You are, yeah.
Thank you. Give their best shot at the stories that have been, this is the last one, percolating all week. Jim is the owner and president of Jim's Organic Coffee, which we drink here, by the way. Christelle is a head barista trainer. Jim, it's good to see you again. Christelle, good to meet you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Shirley.
I don't know if you know, I don't think there's anybody you've ever met who drinks as much coffee as I do. Which is it healthy, by the way, healthy enough when you get past the third or fourth cup?
Absolutely.
Raise your right hand when you say that. Is that true, really, or not?
100%.
There's no doubt, because some studies say you drink too much is not so good. Is
It's always a matter of moderation, I guess. But, you know, coffee's a good thing, and organic coffee's an even better thing.
Why is organic coffee a better thing?
Grown without synthetic pesticides or fertilizers, and so we're contributing to basically a better environment in where the farms that we buy from are located, all throughout, you know, coffee-producing countries. Yep.
Christelle, what are you doing?
I'm making you a Chemex.
Oh, yes. And why are you choosing that method of brew, for lack of a better expression? What's that about?
So the coffee that I'm making in here is our limited edition Kenya. It's a light roast. So we roasted it light to really bring out the character of the place, and then the Chemex only kind of helps that.
What is Chemex? I don't even know what this is.
So this is the brew method. Actually, they're made in Massachusetts. So
oh, really?
Double
Wow.
local.
It looks like a Bunsen burner.
It kind of does, yeah. So I have it on a scale, and it has a paper filter, and I'm just slowly pouring hot water over it. I'm going to let it bloom, and then I'm going to pour the rest of the water.
Why do you have it on a scale?
So I can tell how much water I'm pouring in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I
very
see.
scientific.
Oh, that's right, because there's no numbers on the side.
It's the scientific version of what you can do in your kitchen after practice. Yeah.
Now, Marjorie and I have had an argument. I drink dark roast coffee for the most part, even though I like virtually everything. She says to me, and has said on the air, which I've never Googled to find out the truth behind, that lighter roast has more caffeine than darker roast. Is that true, Jim?
That's correct. By a bit, not by a huge amount. Basically, it's roasted lighter, so you don't, with a darker roast, you roast it a little bit longer, and essentially burns off some of the caffeine.
Really?
Yep.
I'm going to switch to light.
What am I drinking, by the way? You poured something is that from the French
press?
That's
the dark roast.
Yep. Oh, it is the dark roast.
It's a very dark roast. It's called Blend X, or Witch's Brew.
It's very smooth.
Now, before I drink it, do people like you, who are really polite when you're talking to people like us, when you see someone like me add milk to coffee, do you go back into your car and badmouth us for adulterating coffee? How do you feel about people who put milk in their coffee?
Not at all. I drink my coffee black.
You're not a purist?
I mean, I am a purist.
For
in terms
yourself?
For myself, absolutely. But coffee's something that should be enjoyed, and it should be enjoyed however you want to take it, whether it's, you know, milk, cream, or sugar, whatever works for you. Yeah.
And what do you do as the head barista trainer? What the hell is that? I mean, what does that mean?
I do a lot. So I've come here to the Newsfeed Cafe and trained baristas, taught them about where coffee comes from.
We should say that's what's happening over here. I don't know if I made that
and you
point.
The
great coffee at the Newsfeed Cafe is Jim's, but go ahead. Yeah.
So I'll go out to some of our accounts and I'll tell people about how coffee's grown, how we roast it, and then the right way to brew it. Some tips and tricks. And then when I'm in the office, I actually test almost every batch that's roasted for quality control.
Oh, wow.
So I'm slurping and tasting coffees and saying, this is perfect. Let's roast this a little darker. So
Can I ask you one more question before, Shirley may have one before we start the quiz, then we'll ask you more. French press is my favorite, but the problem is, I don't do anything leisurely in my life except drink coffee.
Okay.
Especially early. I get up probably an hour earlier than I have to, so I can read the newspaper for fun, not for work, and drink coffee before the world starts. The problem when you do something on a French press, it gets cold. And there's nothing worse than to my taste than microwave coffee. What do I do to solve my problem?
You could get a French press that has a thermal, so basically it's rather than having glass like that, it's a thermal pot. So that'll keep it warm for you.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Yep.
I had a follow-up question to Jim about organic coffee. Is there a taste difference with organic coffee or at all?
We like to think it has a sort of a smoother, richer, more true kind of taste. I mean, it's sort of like that tomato that you get in the summertime that you're like, oh, that's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay, well, I have a ton of questions because I'm coffee obsessed, but let's start the quiz.
And highly caffeinated, right?
And highly caffeinated. Why don't you ask the first question?
All right.
Who are you going to do? Jim or Christelle?
I'll do Christelle.
Christelle, take it away.
All right. Instead of the Disney Princess Moana birthday cake, one 25-year-old was shocked to receive a cake from the bakery with what slightly more PG-13 theme? A, the baker was from Boston and misheard the request, designing instead a Moona cake, depicting a very cheeky full moon. B, the baker mistook the request for a marijuana cake, complete with a My Little Pony with a marijuana leaf on its haunches, a joint hanging out of its mouth. C, the baker piped the lyrics, a lot of people talk about dining in and eating out. I guess that's what this cake's about. Because they misheard the request for a Madonna-themed cake.
Please do not ask her to repeat that.
Yeah.
That's the longest question we've ever had.
I know the answer.
You do?
Oh, good.
I
Excellent.
heard. I heard. It's B.
Wow.
Wow.
Such confidence.
So I did not know this. Kensley Davis of Georgia received a cake decorated with a stoned My Little Pony horse with bloodshot eyes and a large green marijuana leaf with the words "Happy 25th Birthday, Kensley" sandwiched in between. Wow, I don't know how you go. Maybe they had too much marijuana themselves, the workers. How you confuse Moana and marijuana.
So, Jim, here's your chance to tie this baby up.
Okay.
After living under the radar for years, former First Lady of the Philippines, Imelda Marcos, made it back in the news this week. Why? A, for winning the 2019 Karaoke World Championship, defeating record-breaking title holder Miko Blaise Bordeaux. B, for a bargain price, she's bought the entire inventory of Ivanka Trump's discontinued shoe line. Or C, at her 90th birthday party, 200 people fell ill from food poisoning. Is it A, B, or C? And do not say, I didn't know she was still alive, because nobody knew she was still alive.
Yep, there you go.
A, B, or C?
Well, immediately what came to mind was the shoes with Imelda Marcos.
Yes.
But I'm going to go with the classic, when you don't know, go with C.
That
So
is
I'm gonna go with
correct.
C.
Wow,
Okay.
very
That was
good.
very wise
Very
choice.
good.
You must have done well in your SATs.
Yeah, there you go.
I was reading in some of your material about cupping, and you cup here, you cup there, you cup when it's in its country of origin. What is cupping? What is it?
So cupping is the coffee industry's quality control standard. So what will happen is we'll get a sample of the coffee before it ships from the producing country. So we'll sample it up on like our small little coffee roaster, and then Christelle and I will cup it together and compare it to, is this what we bought? Is this the quality that we want? And then when it comes in, we do the same thing as well. So it's basically the industry standard for tasting.
And it's like I think I've seen it before. I mean, it's kind of like your wine tasting, right? You're smelling it and
Absolutely.
you're putting it, swirling it around your mouth, and you spit it out or something like that, right?
Exactly. So you don't drink coffee all day, you spit it out. And actually here, the French press, because there's no filter, it's really the closest to the cupping experience, shall we say.
So can we talk about water for a second? There was a story somewhere that I read about Cambridge, my hometown, and there were some water problems with coffee or whatever. How critical is the water in the making of coffee there, Christelle?
It's critical.
So what should I be using? Should I be using tap water? Forget where I'm from. Should I be using tap water or bottled water? Or
Love that dirty water, right?
What's the answer?
I've used tap water, and it's tasted okay. Filtered water usually ends up tasting a little bit better. If you're using regular coffee brewers, sometimes if you don't use filtered water, there'll be some like buildup or scale. So that's just another reason to maybe use filtered.
Oh, I get a lot of scaling in my
Yeah.
coffee machine.
Yeah.
Like every month we have to shut it down and clean it.
Exactly. So filtered water would be better for that, but don't use distilled water.
Why?
You won't get anything out of it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
generally at homes, just starting with cold tap water, if you don't have access to the filtration system, is the way to go.
Oh, but what about bottled water? Is there a difference between if you use bottled water or?
I mean, I might be able to tell a difference, but taste-wise, I think bottled would be just fine.
Speaking of telling the difference, I am of the belief, and I'm sure you're going to disabuse me of this belief, that I can smell the difference between dark and light roast. Is that thumbs up?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Not just taste, smell.
Taste, aroma is a
Like
huge
right here,
part
I
of the
can
taste.
smell
Absolutely. So a lighter roast will have sort of brighter notes, more
how
floral,
exciting.
more citrus kind of thing. And then the dark roast, you're left with a little bit more depth and syrupy character, chocolatey notes, that kind of
So I
stuff.
read were you on Wall Street?
That is correct.
Oh, were you
Yep.
a big failure there, or what happened?
Pretty
What
much,
happened?
yeah.
And so-
They kicked me out.
How'd
yeah.
you do the transition to the coffee deal?
I did.
Were you the first organic coffee?
So I started the world's first all organic coffee
Really?
roaster. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Like 20 years ago.
So that was coming up on 25 years ago.
Okay, and
Yep.
why the switch? Why did you move into the coffee biz?
There was a little bit. Well, I was in the green coffee business from the Wall Street side of things, and we started getting offers on organic. It's sort of late '80s, early '90s. The classic, save the rainforest. And I said, this is what I want to do, and no one else was doing it. So again, I did the old sort of move to the country and start a coffee roaster.
Where's your coffee from?
So we buy from all over the world, Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Ethiopia. We're located in West Wareham, if that's the question.
Okay, you want to go to question 3 here? Oh, you want to? It's fine.
I want to talk more.
Oh, you can talk more, and then we can ask questions.
So in 1992, that's when you started your all organic, right?
Correct. Yes.
And 1992 was I used to cover. I don't know if you know this, Jim, but I used to cover Starbucks when I was at the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
And
I didn't
so
know
I
that.
spent a lot of time with Howard Schultz. So, but
President Schultz to you, by the way.
so 1992 was when Starbucks had its IPO, and so when you were back then, the early 90s, I mean, did you, did you run into Howard Schultz, or what do you think about the Starbucks phenomenon back then?
The Starbucks phenomenon, I mean, it's a wonderful story. I mean, they said, we want to put great coffee on every street corner in America, and more power to them, So a lot of people in the coffee trade sort of give them a bad rap. I mean, I think they've done a lot of good with the size of their company, and they've used it for the greater good, and that's a wonderful thing.
Okay, question 3. We got to do question 3.
All right.
We gotta do a little
So
quiz here.
this week, a mythical-looking creature in England was discovered to actually be what? A wombat who fell into a plastic tub full of glitter glue. B, a seagull who fell into a vat of curry. Or C, a horse.
Yeah, where's the rest of the question?
A horse.
Okay.
A horse.
We only have half a question.
Yeah.
Just guess. We
Yeah.
don't
Let's
care.
go with B.
What's the answer, judges? Good enough. We had no idea even what the questions were. That is really good. When you don't even have all the questions and you get the right answer. Now, this one I do have. This would allow you to tie it up going into the bonus round.
My
I'm sure you're
goodness.
quite
Okay.
nervous,
Yep.
but calm down. Here it is. President Donald Trump signed an executive order this week to improve care for kidney disease. He did? What did Trump, I guess he did. What did Trump say while announcing the initiative? A, I love steak and kidney pie. B, the kidney has a very special place in the heart. Or C, my wife underwent kidney surgery last year and has been involved in these efforts. Is it A, B, or C there, Jim Cannell?
The question writers are doing a wonderful
They're
job,
doing
but
excellent job.
I'm going to go with C again.
Well, let me tell you something. That is very sad because that is wrong. Even though she did have kidney surgery last year, that is incorrect. So you have a chance to plunge into a huge lead if you get this correct. Is it I love steak and kidney pie, or the kidney? These are quotes. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. He did say one of those two things, as incredible as it may be.
I think B.
B is right. He said the kidney
Nice
has a
job,
very
Chriselle.
special
Thank you.
place in the heart. That's the President of the United States. Okay, you may now ask another question from Wall Street Journal days before we go to the bonus round. You're out of questions?
I'm out of questions. I
By
only
the way,
have.
coffee is really good. I mean, we drink it here all the time, but it is really. What's that? I mean, why does coffee taste different? I mean, what separates? I mean, why does your coffee taste different from Starbucks or Dunkin' or looking down the street, whatever's here? What's the difference?
We work really hard at selecting great coffee. We're dedicated to the organic ideal. Fortunately, we're not the only people that are doing this, and meaning consumers appreciate the value of organic. And what makes our coffee special is, I mean, we just work every day to make it better and better.
How many cups do you drink a day?
We do a lot of cupping, not for me, not every single day, but I'm good on 2 cups or sometimes 3 cups a
You
day.
should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
How about you, Krista? How many?
I drink about 2 cups, but
That's
I
it?
taste about 20.
I
or
should be
30.
president of
Yeah.
the company,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
you.
How many cups do you drink?
About like 10.
10?
I'd like 10.
Wow.
I like coffee. Coffee and
Wow.
seltzer are all I drink.
10.
essentially. I said 10. Yes, 10.
That's
okay,
crazy.
Here's the bonus round. You ready, you two?
Yep.
Oh, you have something you're
I
holding
do,
up?
yes.
What is that?
So you're such a coffee drinker, and this is for you, Jim.
It's about time.
Jim's
I should-
organic coffee.
Oh,
Oh,
my name is Jim.
That's
Yep,
great.
absolutely.
Your name is Jim, too.
Exactly.
so
that's called Espresso Jimbo. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's very
So
kind.
Thank
that's
you very
great.
much.
you.
That's great.
And we didn't want to,
Leave
forget
Shirley out there?
everyone. So
All
we
right.
have a Shirley's organic coffee.
Oh,
You're doing
that's-
nothing for
And
Marjorie?
this
we
is
wa-
great.
And Marjorie's
Oh,
organic
that's
so
coffee
great.
also.
That's great.
Even though she's
Thank
not there.
you.
Yeah.
By the way,
So
if
it's
people don't
everyone's
bring us
organic
free
coffee.
things, they don't get invited back. Let's
There
tell
you
the
go.
truth here.
All right, do you want me to read the bonus round?
yeah,
I do
read-
have the bonus round question.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right, so given that you're the proprietors of Jim's Coffee,
Which they knew.
our bonus round this week is all about something you should be familiar with, roasting.
Ooh.
Okay, so
You switch sides. You go to Jim now.
Oh, I go to Jim.
And we're going to say it's worth 2 points, so you could tie it up if you got it right, just for the fun of it.
All right.
I know it's
So
very
hopefully I'm
exciting.
reading the right one. Okay.
You will get a participation award?
No, you do not.
No,
Okay.
no. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi roasted someone in the House during an interview with the New York Times. What did she say? A, she told the New York Times, yeah, AOC might think that she knows how to raise awareness of the issues, but has she ever tried to get in a word during a conversation with Joe Biden? B, she told the New York Times that she missed her movie dates with former Congressman Michael Capuano and said that his successor, Ayanna Pressley, has a poor taste in cinema. Or C, she told the New York Times that AOC and her 3 colleagues who dubbed themselves the Squad have a lot of influence on Twitter, but little influence in Congress.
I'm going to stick with what I've been doing. I'm just going to go with C.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
We're the judges. They left. Ding, 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 judges. Thank you very much. We only have time for one more question. If you get this right, you win. If you get it wrong, you lose. Fair enough?
Perfect.
I mean, let's go for it.
Wow,
here.
all.
Former
all or
White
nothing.
House Chief of Staff John Podesta made headlines when an untrue and odd allegation was leveled against him. What was it? A conservative media outlet reported that he attended a satanic pig roast where he allegedly drank bodily fluids. B, the Miami Herald reported that he allegedly planned on putting together a Bender committee, only to realize that Bender is a fictional character from the cartoon Futurama. Or C, during his time at the White House, Podesta urged Bill Clinton to have an exorcist come to the White House after supposedly being haunted by a phantom who only said one thing: don't repeal Glass-Steagall. Was it A, B, or C? This is for all the marbles.
Oh gosh. B. I've been picking B.
I would say A if I were you. What would you say?
Say A.
A. It was
A is correct. Thank you very much. Congratulations. You are the winner. So where do people find Jim's Coffee here? Where are you? Besides
well,
the
right here at the
Newsfeed
Newsfeed Cafe and around the Boston area, we're in most of the Whole Foods. We're in Roach Brothers. You could go on our website, and we're in tons of wonderful independent restaurants, bakeries, coffee shops, and our website will tell you where to find your local one.
Fabulous. It's great to have you both here. Thanks so much. Thanks for the coffee. It was fabulous. Jim Cannell is the owner and president of Jim's Organic Coffee. Christelle DeBoeuf is their head barista trainer. Jim and Christelle, great to see you. Good luck with your work, and the coffee's wonderful. And thank all of you for listening to another edition of Boston Public Radio. Thank you all for coming, by the way, here. Thanks to the Newsfeed Cafe. Tune in Monday for our Politics Roundup and Reverends Irene Monroe and Emma Price for All Rubbed Up. Make sure you listen to their fabulous new podcast, by the way, that dropped on Wednesday. Our crew, Chelsea Mers, Amanda McGowan, Arjun Singh, Zoe Matthews, Hannah Ubeli, our engineers, John the Claw Parker, our on-site engineers, Dave Goldstein. Special thanks, as I said, to the people at Newsfeed Cafe. And I don't even know what to say here. A fond and I guess regrettable farewell to the great Amanda McGowan. She's been here since the beginning of the show. She is leaving to pursue bigger and better things. I don't think there are bigger and better